All right, guys, welcome to Live with A Cork in the Road, where I'm going behind the wine industry in the Southeast and interviewing people who are inspiring and truly shaping the market for wine, food, and beyond. Today, I am so excited. I have Larissa Dubose of the Lotus The Vines. Hi, Larissa.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And we are on Google Hangout. We are doing a live video, and I am just so excited to hear all about your wine adventures. How did you get started in a wine career? Why wine? Why Atlanta?
So itself started about almost 10 years ago. I was in pharma, got out of pharma, got sucked back into pharma, and then my entire sales force got laid off. And I knew that I was done with pharma at that point. I had a stint in the restaurant business, and I knew that I liked having my nights and weekends back. So I said, you know what, let's just figure it out. Let's bartend and see what the next step is. And ironically, the bar that I was at, I saw the distributor rep coming in. And every time she came in, her and the managers would go to like the back table, and I'd see them tasting and sampling and talking about the products and laughing and joking. And one day she made her way up to the bar, and I just started asking her questions. And long story short, I thought about it. I said, so you do what I did as a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company, but you just have way better samples.
You knew that you could do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a seamless transition. So I gave her my resume, and that was back in 2010. I started on the distributor side. So I was selling both liquor and wine in the on-premise sector. And here we are now. So fast forward, we moved to Atlanta, my husband and I, in 2014, literally came off of our honeymoon and started a new life here. He had a great opportunity with his company at the time. He got a promotion. And so I was about 6 months into my promotion when we found out we were moving. I was a portfolio manager for Patron with my distributor. I was in Mexico at the hacienda learning all this great product knowledge when I got the call, but it was what it was. So, I mean, Atlanta's been wonderful. When I first moved down here, that's what pushed me to the supplier side. I was working for the Hess Collection, and I was a field sales manager, regional manager for them for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And eventually came over to now I represent Justin and Landmark Wines out of California and Fiji Water. So I'm the on-premise manager for the state of Georgia for those brands, and they're awesome.
So multiple brands and multiple roles. So
Yes.
what's a normal day like for you? Because you're juggling from water to wine. Sounds like you had tequila experience. So what's a normal day like for Larissa?
That's why I love this industry so much. Every day is different. You know you have your admin days where you're just trying to play catch up with your emails and follow up from your appointments. Right now, we're like knee deep in Super Bowl. We just wrapped up October, November, December, which is always a crazy time in the industry. And it's almost like this calm before the storm because Super Bowl's coming to Atlanta. And we're just kind of in this circling pattern because no one really knows what to expect. We just know it's going to be this huge influx of people and business, and we're just trying to keep our head above water, pun intended. So right now we're just really trying to wrap everything up with a pretty bow because we're about 2 weeks in now. We just did a new item trade show yesterday with Empire. So every day is different, and that's why I love this industry so much. It's not your typical 9 to 5. So we work from home. We don't have an office that we report to per se, and it's awesome.
And you're obviously with people a lot as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're on the go, you're meeting with folks. Is that something you really like about it? Or what's your favorite part about this current role?
Absolutely. My favorite part about this role is the relationships and the partnerships that we're able to build. As a company, we're super dialed into that. So a big part of my job is going out to support accounts that, bring in our wines and bring in the water, just so that they know that they have, a resource here. So whether it's staff trainings, working with the staff members so that they know about the wines, know about the stories, because it's easier to, sell a wine when you know about the product. And even with the water, between that and then just working with, the different managers and colleagues, and even working with the distributor sales reps and helping them figure out ways to continue to build the business in their territories. It really is fun. And so again, it's someone different pretty much every day, but then you have that consistency because of the partnership. So there are those go-tos that, they'll typically see me at least once a month. So it's pretty cool that way.
Is that part of the job where it's a little bit unpredictable day to day. Is that challenging for you, or is there a different kind of bigger challenge that you're finding in your role right now?
It's not challenging only because that's literally been the career path that I chose outside of my short stint in the restaurant business. Whereas even with that, every day is obviously very different, but you are reporting to one place every day. Even when I was in pharmaceutical sales, it was, you have to be a self-starter, self-motivated to get up and get out the door. And, again, you always have to be on your toes. So knowing how to deal with objections and knowing how to fill the void and understanding that, hey, if we had a tasting this year and you didn't necessarily find something that's going to fit your program, guess what? I'll have new vintages next year and we can revisit. So, that's the other side of it as well. Only having 2 wineries that I represent, I have a very small, compact, but powerful portfolio. But thanks to Mother Nature and the nuances that we get every year with different vintages, there's always something new to talk about.
It definitely keeps you on your toes. And you sound like you are just loving being busy. I met you at a wine event here in the Atlanta industry,
Yes.
the Psalm 3 premiere. It was super
Yes.
fun. And I actually met you because of your personal brand, your education brand, the Lotus and the Vines. So what
Yes.
you've told us about now is more of the professional role that you
Yes.
have as your full-time job. So how do you have time for Lotus and the Vines, and what is that all about? Please tell me everything.
Absolutely. So the Lotus and the Vines is my passion project. And I have a really good friend in the industry, and we talk about wanting it all. Like I can have a really good career and I can have things that motivate me and, bring me joy as well. I can have my husband, I can have my daughter. We can do all of this. We all have the same 24 hours in the day that Beyonce does. It's just a matter of what we do with it, right?
If only we could all be as fabulous as Beyonce. We'll work on that.
Be as fabulous as Beyonce, but we all have those same 24 hours. So really it's just a matter of time management. But the Lotus and the Vines came about, again, it's my passion project and it's based on wine education. I've been in this industry now off and on for 10 years and I've seen a lot. Just from, whether it's the wine dinners that I have to do, the staff trainings, the different places that we get to go because of wine, I felt that I would be remiss if I did not share the little bit of information that I have and my experiences. I genuinely believe that wine knowledge and wine etiquette, at least having the foundation, is a soft skill that many of us just were not privy to growing up, whether we didn't have wine in the household because of financial reasons, religious. Like I was not a PK, but my dad was a minister of music. So we never had alcohol in the house really. So we were at church like 3-4 times a week. It wasn't until college and ultimately finding this career path that I really started to dive into the wonderful world of wine. And I also realized in my journey that there are so many times where I'll find people who are not necessarily putting their best brand forward. Like as a restaurant manager, I've heard a customer ask for a glass of Merlot. And that wasn't the opportunity for me to educate them. I got them their glass of Merlot and all was well. But, navigate those waters, then I'm doing my part. Like I genuinely believe that we all have a purpose. And my purpose at this juncture in life is to continue to keep my mother's legacy of helping people alive. And so she passed away in 2010 to breast cancer. And I really feel like me sharing this information and helping people put their best foot forward pays homage to her. And yeah, that's really what it came down to. So, if you build it, they will come. The social media following has been growing steadily. And, I enjoy it. I really do like having the feedback of people saying, I was out and I knew how to hold the glass by the stem. I knew to ask for the sommelier. It's like all these little nuances that you never really think about. But now when you close that big deal and you go out with your colleagues, you don't necessarily, when you go to the fine dining restaurant, punt your budget and give the wine list to someone else. Now well, I can ask for the sommelier and they can help me find something.
You're helping people explore wine, even at any degree that what that might be. You're helping them. And I love that. I think we have a lot in common where sometimes I'm industry girl, sometimes I'm with someone who's never been to a wine class. And I think it's kind of a beautiful thing to be able to work through your passion project, through your full-time job in both worlds.
Yeah.
And that makes it really interesting because I think that you have an opportunity to see trends and know a little bit from what the industry trends are, also with consumer trends.
Sure.
So are you seeing something, having been now in Atlanta for almost like 5 years, you've been in the Southeast, compared to places that you do travel to, obviously with your wineries in California, are you noticing anything in trends or types of wines that people are enjoying here in Atlanta versus other places?
That's a great question. So I'll say when I first moved here, I was actually really intrigued at the love for bourbon, and it made sense. You know, this is where we are, right? And that was probably one of the first trends that I tapped into. And I think from my Patron days, from my tequila days, you know, there was just when I, you know, was able to move on and just focus on wine, I took that and ran. So I know my tolerance. I am a professional drinker. I do this for a living. And so I just know that I know that there are levels of control that I have when I drink wine versus when I drink liquor. And I prefer to drink wine. But I was really impressed with the mixology scene and how that was developing, as well as the craft breweries. That was something that I didn't see as much in Maryland. So I moved here from Maryland. I guess I should throw that in there. I moved here from Baltimore, Maryland when we moved here 5 years ago. So, you know, in all authenticity, I typically get out to our winery about twice a year. And that being said, I'm not as dialed into the trends that I see in California. But what I do see as far as here in Atlanta is that people are really trending towards what I'll call new world wines, or fruit-driven wines, fruit-forward wines. So that's been the biggest thing. Obviously, rosé is something that I've seen as far as a trend here, as far as helping accounts procure their wine list, is rosé. Rosé was a wine that was definitely seasonal, and it was almost that thought process, like, okay, well, this is the time that we have to present this wine, because once the summer's over, you're not going to see it on the wine list anymore. And that is not the case anymore. Rosé is a year-round wine. Like, you'll have your frosé and stuff in the summertime, but rosé does not leave the wine list once September and October hit the calendar. So that, and again, I just see very fruit-forward drinking. I'll be completely authentic and say that's typically my palate, but I have been open to expanding my palate to more old world wines that are more terroir driven, that you're getting more earth than funk when you're pairing it with food. But necessarily for me to come home after a long day and open a bottle, that isn't my knee-jerk reaction. So if I had to put a trend on it, I would say what I see in Atlanta right now is more fruit-forward wine drinking and rosé every day.
And I see that a lot too with restaurants serving rosé. Personally, I'm a big fan of pairing rosé with food. And I think that keeps it going year round. And so when you're saying that, I think I've noticed that as well. Even by the glass options of rosé are a little bit more diverse here, and they pair really well with our cheesy mac and cheese and our fried chicken and things like that. So it's definitely a good Southern thing to have around. I love it. And I know that we're talking about all these fun things and how we enjoy wine as a passion, but you are a seriously educated wine person. I know your history here. I've done a little research, and you have a lot of certifications. You've taken a lot of courses. How did you get started in that? And how has that been part of building your personal brand and your skill set for your career?
So it all started when I was with a distributor in Maryland. They had some really great wine education. However, what I realized when I moved to Atlanta was that those certifications really didn't hold weight in the global scale of things. So moving to Atlanta and getting on the supplier side of the business really is what pushed me to start to dig my heels in deeper. And so even when I was working for Hess, you know, granted, we had wines that were represented in Australia, Argentina, California, and South Africa at the time. They were all still very New World driven. And so my experience thus with old world wines like France and Italy, specifically from a producer stance, Spain, was my area of opportunity. And I knew that in order to create that, I had to study. And so that's when I first moved here, I learned about the Society of Wine Educators Certified Specialist of Wine designation. And what I realized is that with my distributor, they actually offer that for their sales representatives. And I just felt like it was imperative for me to be on the supplier side, working with sales representatives, working with customers to at least begin that process. So back in 2015, that's what I did. I went to Vino Venue, the Atlanta Wine School. At the time, they were offering the course, and I took the course and found great value in it and passed that. And then I kind of took a bit of a hiatus because the test was really, really hard and I needed a break. And then life got in the way. You know, we wound up having our daughter, Emery, she's 3 now. And so life happened. And then from there, at probably around last year, this time, I got the bug to keep going. And so that's when I really started to dig in my heels with WSET, with Wine Spirit Education Trust, and Court of Master Sommeliers. And so I was on the fence about which one to do. And I have to give Eric Crane his props here. He was the one who really encouraged me to go after Court of Master Sommeliers. And I said, well, you know, I'm not on the floor anymore. You know, I have a little bit of trepidation there. And I'm completely nervous about the service portion because I haven't been on the floor in over 10 years at this point. So, but he was super encouraging. So the unique part of my job is that I am on premise only. So on premise is what we call restaurants, hotels, lounges, clubs, the like. So you consume the product, the liquor or the wine on premise, as opposed with retail, which we reference as off premise because you take it and you leave the store with it. So because I'm working specifically in this niche of the market, that would continue to add value. So I did both the intro course and I did level 2 for WSET last year. And then I don't know, I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. 2017 is when I did those. And then 2018, I walked into the year intentional about doing WSET level 3. I still wasn't sure if I wanted to go after certified. And lo and behold, once I started level 3, I realized that the theory portion was really going to help me with the certified sommelier portion. So I just went for it and I did it. And it was hard, it was long, it was arduous. I had a couple misses. You know, the first time I took my WSET level 3, I missed on blind tasting. The first time I took certified sommelier, I missed on service, my biggest fear. But, you know, I had to get up and keep going and try again. And lo and behold, the second time around, I was able to keep my promise to myself and walk out of 2018 with both of those certifications. So I'm taking a break right now. I'm drinking wine again because I like it.
You're not studying wine, you're enjoying wine. I think a lot of times people that are studying for things or they're in the industry working, there is that fine balance of enjoying it or looking for defects. I personally had a lot of time in a cellar in a winery and I was always smelling for weird chemical things and I couldn't help but go home and smell my glass looking for something wrong. But now you get to enjoy it and I'm really happy to hear that. Congrats on all of the success. This is incredible. Do you think that you are able to find ways to learn about wine that aren't in a formal setting? Do you enjoy reading about wine? Do you spend time on social media with wine people?
Social media is a big part of how I stay hip with wine. What I'll also say is I think it's a Wine Daily or Daily Wine Business. I get a news feed every day that via email that really keeps me up to date with what's going on. And so even if I'm just kind of perusing through my emails, my work emails, that email notoriously pops up daily. And there's always something new to learn about. And that's the thing that I genuinely love about wine is that it keeps you humble. Every time you think you know, and I always say, I know a little something. Every time you think you know something, you realize you know nothing at all. Because there's always new laws and new nuances, but that's why I love it.
It's never ending. You also have people asking you questions. I think that you're really good at finding those nuances to highlight. I love your new series. Everybody go follow her online because she's doing these awesome tips videos that are short little clips about wine etiquette. I appreciated your one the other day about a corkage fee and what to do if you want to bring a bottle to a restaurant. Where did the idea to start those videos come from?
So it all started from not seeing it. To be perfectly honest, I saw a void and I said, you know what, let's just see and make it quick because I know attention spans can, you know, especially on social media with Instagram where everyone's just kind of, you know, scrolling. So make it a minute long and keep it short and sweet. A lot of the content on Wine Clue Wednesday, hashtag Wine Clue Wednesday, Comes from genuine questions that people ask. My husband's actually really good with giving me ideas as well.
Is he a wine person too?
He is an honorary wine person. So he is a director of sales in the medical device industry. And so he is out quite often entertaining clients and, out with his sales reps. So he does see that fine wine component with fine dining. And so from that perspective, he's learned a lot. And so he gives me a lot of good feedback and good content that I can use for Wine Clue Wednesday. But around, every other month, every 2-3 months, I open it up and say, hey, what are the questions to our new community that's building on Instagram? What are the questions that you have? And there's no question that's too silly, even if they are, but it's all well and good. I'll, as opposed to necessarily bringing it to the masses, I'll just go off on a one-off and say, this is the answer to your question.
You're always getting feedback from people, like real people that want to know things about wine, and they're coming to you. And I think that that's something that you have really been able to expand on and build a really good community. And how often do you get asked about where to go in Atlanta? Can we ask you where to go for wine or food or the combination of the two?
Absolutely. So it's interesting because moving here from Baltimore, if someone was to go to Baltimore, and of course, 5 years later, things have changed. But when we left Baltimore, if someone said, oh, I'm going to Baltimore, where should I go? I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to eat? And then, okay, start checking off the list. And when I first moved here and I was working for Hess, I had 6 states. So we were new to a brand new city. We didn't really know anybody, and I was traveling. So by the time I get home for the weekend, I don't want to eat out anymore. I've been eating out all week. And so I just want to sit in the house. So we didn't really get to explore Atlanta that way. But since I've joined Fiji, Justin and Landmark, it's almost like I was given the keys to the city. Whereas because I'm on premise and, I'm in the perimeter, I'm outside the perimeter, I get to go to Savannah, I go to Augusta. So I've really been able to dial into all the different wonderful things that are happening, not only in Atlanta, but in Georgia from a cuisine perspective. So, I have my running tally in my head if someone says, oh, I'm interested in getting this kind of, I'm like, oh, no, you got to go there.
So where are some places that you'd love to go back to that you think are really doing some cool things with wine?
From a retail perspective, I live in Glenwood Park. So 3 Parks is literally a stone's throw for me. And I'm in there way too much.
Shout out to Sarah at 3 Parks.
Shout out to Sarah and the crew. I love their weekly Wednesday wine tastings. Purple Corkscrew out in Avondale Estates. They do a really great job with having the flights, and they also have really cool different events. I remember on Global Champagne Day, they had an event where you bought a ticket and you got a bottle of GH Mum and a Saber. And we all got to go out and savor our own bottle. I had never seen anything like that before. So Stephanie and Raquel, they're doing really amazing things. I love Janine over at Vinoteca. I love what they're doing. Oh, gosh, yeah, there's just, too many to name and charge my head and not my heart. So that's from a retail perspective. Whereas if you're coming home from a long day of work and you're looking for something off the beaten path, or you're looking to pair something with your meal, those are some places that I can think of off top that just really create great value and give you an opportunity to have fun, unique experiences. Murphy's too is another one. They have really, really great events. I went to a couple months ago. It was around Global Champagne Day, a really awesome champagne tasting where it was everything champagne, and I am a bubble girl.
Well, you say that you're a bubbles girl, and I'm right there with you because one of your posts recently really sparked my interest. Have you been to Paris recently, or some trip? You posted about a place that you went in Paris where it was champagne just flowing. Where was that? Because I'm about to head to Paris, so tell me where I need to go.
Au Chateau was a place, is an awesome wine bar. And if they're still there, we went back in 2017. Au Chateau Wine Bar was amazing. When we were there, we actually did a Bordeaux flight. I'm trying to think of what we did that was champagne driven. We did a day trip to Champagne. We went to Moet and Chandon, and then we were able to go see Dom Perignon site. And then we went up to GH Mum. So I always get banged up on how to properly pronounce. Is it rhymes? Rings.
Which makes me remember something really cool that you've started too. You have been helping people pronounce things. You do a little series of this is how it looks and this is how it sounds. So you can be one of those people that helps people not say Merlot next time they're ordering.
Yes,
which is
pronunciations are so important. And I am the Google queen. And so that particular region of France, I've asked literally like 5 people, and they're all some are from France, some are professionals. And I've heard something different every time. I just point to it on the map, like we went here. Yeah, we got to go to GH Mum, which was amazing because I was not familiar with that champagne house prior. And then the cathedral, which is the Notre Dame Cathedral in that area, in the square, it was just beautiful. So you're going, I did see that you posted that you're going soon. Yeah, Au Chateau was amazing. And there's a young lady who I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, but I think her handle is Girl Meets Glass. And she actually does like all these different like wine crawls and tastings, and that's her business. So yeah, Girl Meets Glass is someone that you probably want to try to, I think her name is Tanisha Townsend. I have not met her personally, but I've heard amazing things.
fantastic because I love meeting fellow wine people,
Yeah.
especially social media wine people. It's such a good community.
That's the one thing that I have to say. I mean, social media has its pros and its cons, no question. But the sense of community that you can build, I've just been blown away by it. The engagement and genuinely meeting people from all over the world, it's mind blowing.
And we're all drinking fun things. What are you drinking right now? What are some other, you said you're a bubbly girl, but what about other wines that are really interesting that people should seek out?
You know, again, my biggest thing last year was if I'm drinking wine, is it testable? So I'm really trying to delve outside of testable wines. I can't remember the producer off top, but I'm really intrigued with New Zealand Pinot Noirs right now. They're delightful.
And are we getting those in the Atlanta market? Are there a lot of choices? I've been seeing a lot more Australia, New Zealand options, especially even at some sommelier events that I've been to recently, even some testing of the Australian. And I said to my husband, I go, that's what I don't know much about. So I'm actually on a path to explore more around those regions too. Are they coming to Atlanta?
So I've found some at Tower. My friends over at Brookhaven Wines, Eddie, they're really great for that too. All the places that I've mentioned, if they don't have it right now, if it's something that you're interested in, they would gladly bring something in for you. They will do the research for you to make it happen, just because that's part of the challenge. It's like, you know, if I don't have it and it's something that I know a customer is interested in, why wouldn't I bring it in for you? Find a really good one that we believe in and bring it in for you. So I think that's the really cool thing that I love about wine shops as well. I'm such a proponent for them. You're supporting local business, and you really are getting this personalized collection that people have tasted through everything. They're not just bringing in anything and everything. They've tasted everything that's on the shelf. And, you know, they're thinking about what they like, but they're also thinking about what their customers like. And so before I go anywhere, you know, typically I'm going to go to some place that's locally owned. I just think it's important.
Any last thing that you would tell somebody about Atlanta wine scene that they might not know? What do you want people to know about us?
We are growing. I am so impressed. I think, you know, this last year of doing all the studying really just opened me up to the sense of community that is here in Atlanta. I was blown away when, after I took certified sommelier and I missed, I was really trying to be kind of covert about it. I thought that I could just do it on my own. And I did not realize, and this was a lesson that I learned, that there is a community that is here and willing to help you. I really got into my own head, to be perfectly authentic. Like, I thought, oh, people are going to laugh at me. I'm going to go to these blind tasting groups and I'm going to say something and they're just going to look at me like I'm crazy. I got into my own head and I defeated myself in that. And when I finally said, this is me, this is who I am, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I think it'll be really helpful professionally and for my passion project, everyone just welcomed me with open arms. And so to talk to people that are coming into Atlanta that are interested in whether it's getting into, you know, the fine dining world or the distributor supplier world, the Atlanta wine scene is something that I have become super impressed with, and I highly recommend. I just think the sense of community and family is something that I did not necessarily see in Maryland. And it speaks volumes that people are really willing and ready to help you in any way, shape, or form, whether it's helping you find the best bottle, have the best experience at a restaurant, or help you reach your wine education goals.
Right there with you. You are really one of those people that is shaping the Atlanta wine industry. And it's been so much fun to chat with you.
So much
Everybody go follow her online. She is really good with videos. If you need tips or tricks, or reach out to her for fun places to go around Atlanta, Georgia, she's your girl. Thank you so much, Larissa.